So for this one, it's going to be kind of more like a, what you might hear at the end of a pop song or something like that, like an outro solo, right? It's typically, this is a little bit longer than a typical, middle solo or whatever. So let's just pretend we're like, comfortably numbing it out, just going for it. This thing's getting freaking huge. It's like Little Shop of Horrors, like, feed me Seymour. You guys probably don't even know what that is. The movie from a long time ago, and if you're a middle-aged person like myself, you might catch the reference. Just maybe, but I'm not old, it's middle-aged. Okay, so anyways, I just dye this. This is really black. I just dye it to make it myself look, like I have more wisdom. Okay, so anyway, so we got our... All right, so what we're gonna do is, over the beginning, we're just gonna do some total double stop action, right? And that's going to cover our F sharp minor chord, right here in position 1, and I'm starting at the root. Okay, so what we're going to do is we'll hit 4, 2, 4, and then I'm going to do a double stop, and this is going to be the 5th and the 3rd, right? I did that backwards, but the 5th and the 3rd of our F sharp minor chord, and then I'm going to... Okay, so what I'm going to do is, this is going to be a double stop on the 2nd fret, G and B, and then I'm going to hammer on to the 4th fret of the G. Right, so I hammer on once and then I hit it again right there. And then back here, right? I roll over. Okay, so it's... Alright, so the whole thing is... Maybe a little love on the 3rd before you hammer on, right? So then that's going to start setting us up for that A chord that's coming up, right? And so for that, I'm actually going to do a little lick right there. Love that lick. I do it all the time. So it's going to be 4, 5, 4, 2. Okay, so we got, and then 4, our root, and then this is really where it's A, right? So now that right there is the root note of our A chord. Okay, and then from that point I'm going to go up into this E shape of our A chord, right? And that's going to be the 2nd position of our major pentatonic, right? A major. We were an F sharp minor pentatonic. Remember, it's the same scale, but we're thinking one way as being a minor scale, and we're using that same scale, but now since it's over that A chord, now we're going to think major, right? So A major position 2. I'm really going to target those A chord tones. So I'm going to slide in from 4 to 6, right? That's the 3rd, and then this is the 5th of my A chord, right? So I'm going to let those all ring together. Okay, so 6, 5. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to hammer from the 5th of my chord. Now this isn't in my chord, right? But I'm going to hammer into the 3rd. So we got... Now the trick is trying to get those 2 strings to ring together when you're doing vibrato. It's tricky. I don't even get it all the time. Right? And then kind of drift off into nowhere. And the cool thing is when you run a little bit of delay up there, trails off. It's cool. And then you come into the next part where you're back into the F sharp minor chord, right? Now with this one, even though we're in the F sharp minor chord, I'm going to use F sharp and A chord tones, right? I'm going to set myself up. So if you think about it, this note right here works great over both chords, right? The 3rd. So it's the 3rd of the A chord, but it's the 5th of the F sharp minor chord. Right? This one too, the A note works over both chords, right? Now this is a kind of a big stretch, and I love the sound of those two. It's like, whoa, 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 and then you resolve, and it just does this really cool thing. So you slide in on the 6th fret, on the G, and then 7, 9, and then 5. So it's a big stretch, and you want to hear those together. You want to hear those 2 strings together, right? Now we're coming up to the A. Right? So I've gone from the F sharp here, and I'm also, as I go up this scale, right? These are more chord tones, right? I'm starting to target notes of the chords as I go up. We have an F sharp here, F sharp minor. We have an A major right here, right? So as we go up, and then to here, and then once I get here, that's the 3rd of my A. Now keep in mind, I'm letting this E ring the whole time, which is also part of the A chord. So as you go up and you do that sort of Tom Petty-ish droning thing that his guitar player always does, so freaking awesome, those drone licks, right? You're going all the way up using that open E in anticipation for that A chord, and you're going to land at that 3rd, even though you're going over F sharp minor chord tones too. It just sounds great, right? So those frets are going to be 7, 9, 10, 12, 14, and the pattern's just going to be, right? So it's, and then you do a little vibrato with that ringing. It's another one of those cool kind of rubs. All right, so let's get into the next couple of licks. All right, so let's go over really quickly again our caged shapes, right? So the first part, F sharp minor, we got our, okay, and then the lick finishes out, and as soon as we get to that A note, we're in A, right? So we have an A here, which could be the G shape, it could be the A shape, right? And then from that point, we're going to take the A chord but move it to the E shape. But again, remember, now it's switched to a major or A major scale. So we got to think of resolving to the major chord. Okay, so that's here. The next part, we're going to go to the D shape or the D minor shape of the F sharp chord. Okay, and we're also still going to be targeting notes from that A chord as well. So that's a 2-for-1 special right now, blue light special. And then from that point, we're also going to be climbing through this A minor shape of our F sharp minor chord, and then the D shape of our A chord, and finally getting all the way up to the A shape, right, the 3rd. Then we're going to climb back down, right? This next lick, we're going to go back down the neck before our final ascension up, and then I think we go back. So we go up, back, up, back. We're sweeping the whole neck, just like the floor, just getting rid of all the dust off the, you know, not played areas of our fretboard. We're janitor licks, that's what we call them. We're just sweeping off that fretboard, just... Okay, so anyways, back to the lick. So we climbed up, right? Then I'm going to go down. We're going to get a little modal, right? We're going to go kind of out of the scale. But what we're going to do is we're essentially coming back from position 5 into position 4. And then we're going to go down into 3. Right? Before we do a little octave run on the way up. So the lick starts off 12, hammer to the 14th, pull, slide. And then hammer back to 12. So you got 12, 14, 12, 10, 12. Now, since the F sharp minor chord and the A chord are both right here, still kind of more over that F sharp minor tone. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bend into that third of that chord. Quick little half step bend, and it's going to catch the third of our F sharp minor chord, right? And then when we do this, we're catching the root and the fifth of our chord, and then back to the root. Okay? So we got. Now we're going to do a quick slide. Okay, and that's going to be from 11 to 9, pull off to 7. Okay, and then we're going to do the lick we did here. We're going to do here. Okay, so we got. Okay, so that's. Then check this out. So we're totally in that. We've hit every note of that F sharp chord. And then we had that A right here, so we can bend into that kind of sound, but then when you come back here, it's back to that kind of the F sharp sound again, right? Okay, and then we're gonna go here, which is another note out of the A chord, and then here, and then resolve right there, right? Total F sharp minor. A sad modal sounding lick, but you know, you gotta have those half step bends. I really like those half step bends, so I try to use those whenever I can, right? And these aren't strictly out of the pentatonic shapes, even though when you bend that half step, you're bending into the pentatonic shape. So check this out. Position 4, that's what it is. Right, so keep in mind that A chord, the F sharp minor chord I should say, and then the A chord, got ahead of myself, are both in that position 4. So when I do that, I'm bending into the pentatonic shape, but this is more from this chord, right? Now, from that point, it's kind of drawn out. Now, here's what we're going to do. We're going to go up in an octave run. Now, a lot of the double stop runs we've been doing sound great, and two notes sound really cool together. We had that kind of rub. And two notes together sounds awesome, and it also sounds good when you hit two notes that are the same note, which can be like these octaves. Okay, so the trick to octave is you want to drape your fingers across the strings that you're not playing, right? And what I mean by that is you're not pressing down and trying to fret the note, you're just draping it over so it becomes like kind of a mute blanket. So you can hit all of the strings, but you're only getting the two notes that you want to hear. The benefit of that is you get the percussiveness of hitting all the other strings. You get that kind of thud with the two notes you actually want to come out, right? So that's going to be on the 9th fret and the 11th fret. So it's 2 frets apart, and then it's a string. You got to skip over a string. So A string, G string. And then with this finger, I'm muting out the D string and the E string. This finger touches the string above, right? And then this finger right here catches the B and E, right? So I can hit everything. Now I'm just gonna go and then all the way up, right? So let's just call out this finger's fret, but keep in mind you gotta keep that spacing. So it's gonna be 9, 11, 12, and then slide up to 16, right? And then I'm going to hit it 2 downstrokes. And then I'm going to go. All right, so we got. And that again is playing right off of this F sharp minor here, right? We started on this F sharp minor, A, right? So we got, and then slide all the way up to here, right? And this is part of that F sharp minor chord too, right? Now now from that point, we're kind of mixing it up. We've gotten a typical blues lick we started off with. We went into, the more drone kind of licks, kind of a la Tom Petty. Then we went into more of a modal sounding lick, right? And then we went to an octave. So we're totally changing up all of our, ideas, and we're kind of changing the melody just enough so it works over the chord changes, and it doesn't sound like we're doing the exact same thing all over, although we are using some of the same little licks, but since they're in different octaves, they sound different, right? So nothing too fast, nothing too crazy, but now I'm kind of craving going back to that original blues sound, but I'm going to do blues with a little twist. I'm going to add another one of those little half bends I like a lot. So that lick is super basic, and it's just straight down the scale for the most part, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to be on 14 and 16. It starts on the A string, and you do the exact same thing on the A, D, and G. Okay, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to that 16D, and then I'm going to do 14 and 16 again on the G, and then I'm just going to flatten. Right, so I got. Okay, so I go B, E, B, and then I'm going to bend. Right, so we got. Then I'm going to go back to the E, and this is where I'm going to do my. And then I'm going to go. Right, so it's kind of bluesy, so we got. Right, that's the first part, and then we're going to go. Right, so that bend up on the 16th half step. Pull off, back to 14, roll over on 14, hammer to 17, 14E, and then we're going to bend up 17B. Right, so we got. Roll over to the blues. Just let it just totally take you over. Sorry, the coffee's kicking in. Okay, so we got. And then, right, typical blues. Back to 14E, 17B, 14. And then I'm going to go. That's total blues, right? So it's bending up 16G, 14, 17. I think I did this 3 times. So you want to get that kind of fluid, all the notes kind of going into each other. And then, so that last one you bend up, back to pitch, pull off, and then I'm going to do what I call stacking, which is going to be 16D, G, and then, now that's going to be either on that 3rd, right, of the F sharp minor chord, or the root of our A chord, right? So we got. Okay, now the next lick is back to kind of blues a la Stevie Ray. And then kind of Gilmore. So what you do is you pull off really quick. It's like a triple lick, right? So you go 16, 14, 16, and then I'm going to do a double stop. Okay, so, and then I'm going to do the same thing on the next set of strings. right? So we went, and then, and now we're going to do a quick slide from 16 to 14. Pull off to 12 twice. Over the A or the F sharp minor. And then again, try to get those two going with a little vibrato. So, it's a long solo, right? Lots of different ideas, and it's something that, you might, again, find in an outro. A lot of bands I like, I went to see this cool country band I'd never seen before, like Brothers Osborne. It's something that also maybe you have a shorter solo in your song. Say maybe you're a band and the guy's like, hey man, you can't play a solo that long. It's not cool for the radio or whatever. But live, it's a whole different ball of wax, a la John Mayer, too, or any of these jam bands, Tedeschi Trucks, Gary Clark Jr. The album might be, kind of, I don't know, like a hand tied behind your back. The guy's like, dude, it's too long. It's more than like a bar and a half. I don't think you should solo more than a bar and a half. Kids don't dig it these days. They do dig it. Just nobody does it, except those bands I just mentioned, and they're freaking awesome. So people love that. Do it. And that's another cool thing when the album, right? Say you're in a band, right? You guys got an album. Maybe you're a freaking rock star, or maybe you're just like a, cool high school band and you got a sick little demo you're doing. Keep, underplay a little bit on the album, and then when you go live, just full frontal assault, just fist to the ears. Bam! And just knock them out. And that'd be awesome, right? So maybe that long extended solo, you got a bunch of different ideas. That might be something that you see there. Can you tell? Like subconsciously, and now it's not subconscious anymore. Like I long for the jam bands, the Zeppelins, the Claptons, the Hendrix, the Stevie Rays. But, and this is a big but, feel and soul has got to be there. Don't just, that gets really old. Just take them on a ride. Magic carpet ride of your awesome solo, spirit-driven, oozing feel and just charisma and melody. You got this. Let's go on to the next one, shall we?